Okay, it's time for the next installment of the CCSC Team of the Century. We've got a backline pretty much fleshed out at the moment, and it is absolutely fantastic. We need to start sending these boys around the park with some halfbacks, and we're going to kick off with the standoff position, the number six. And boy, have we had some good sixes over the years. This is going to be a tough, tough ask, as always, from Graham. Graham's here. He's got his shortlist ready. Who are your six sixes? Who are you giving us for the standoff position for your team of the century?
So I'm kicking off back to the 30s with a guy called Billy Davis. He joined us in 1931 and stayed with us till 1937. 25 tries, five drop goals from 204 appearances. Um, Interesting fact about Billy Davis, apart from the fact that he was standoff at Wembley in 1935, but he became Cass's second Great Britain international.
Hmm, that's interesting.
And so that's tips him in favour of a couple of against a couple of others and gets him as first place on my shortlist. Um, we're moving on a few years to my next one. And it's no surprise that it's Alan Hardesty. Alan was signed in 1958 and stayed with the club till 1972, during which time he played 400 on 401 occasions, scored in 206 tries, still holds the record of being our top try scorer. 78 goals, 42 drop goals, total of 858 points. Obviously, everybody remembers him as being, the captain of the 69 and 70 cup winning side. Um, Obviously, three floodlit trophies. He actually made his debut in 1958 against Keighley. Um, Played for Yorkshire, played for Great Britain, and again was part of the Ashes squad in 1970. So, for obvious reasons, Alan takes the number two spot on my shortlist.
100%.
Um, Third one is a guy who we signed in 1975 and stayed with us until 1981. And it's a guy called Bruce Burton. We signed him for a massive £8,000 from Halifax. And he went on to make 135 appearances, scoring 89 tries, 41 goals, and four drop goals for a total of 353 points. He was a brilliant support player. Um, in the 1970, our first time we ever won the Yorkshire Cup was 1977. We beat Featherstone at Headingley. And Bruce picked up the man of the match, winning the White Rose Trophy, scoring two tries and a drop goal that day. The third, or the next one on my list, um, is John Joyner. But I've already talked about him in a previous episode, so I'm not going to talk about John on
Yeah,
that one.
hopefully you listened to the previous episode. You know all about John Joyner by now.
Yeah. And if you haven't listened to it, go back, listen to it now. Um, so the next one I'm going to talk about is a New Zealander who we signed in 1993. He was a current Kiwi international, and it's Tony Kemp. In that 3 year period, Kempy made 63 appearances, scoring 27 tries, four goals, and a drop goal. And probably his most famous drop goal would have been at Headingley in the 94 Regal Trophy final. Um, there's a little story that Cass were looking for a six. He was playing alongside Nick Howe in the New Zealand side. T tapped him up, said, "How do you fancy a spell at Cass?" Had a little fallout at Newcastle Knights, and the next day was on the phone to John Joyner, and the deal was done. But he went on them caps for New Zealand 25 times, so it tells you the sort of stature of the player. Unfortunately, he went back to Australia and then came back to the UK and had spells with Leeds and with Wakefield. But tremendous player, absolutely tremendous player. And then the final one on this list. Um, I don't think anybody will be surprised that I'm going to name a certain Rangi Chase. Um, came to us in 2009 as an unknown young standoff. and boy, did he quickly announce himself on the stage. Um, some of his performances were eye-catching. His skill set was unbelievable. Um, and he actually owes the distinction of playing for both the Exiles and for England.
Does it does
Uh,
Roger?
in total, he left us in 2014 and went to Salford, and eventually came back for 2017, but it wasn't the same Rangi. Well, that it was, and Ben Roberts kept him out of it, and he was a bit of a bit part player really. But all told, he made 144 appearances for us, scoring 48 tries and 3 drop goals for a total of 195 points. Incredible talent, absolutely incredible talent, and did things that most mortals can only dream of with a rugby ball in their hands.
Yeah, still to this day, the most talented player I've seen in the cast shirt during my time. Yeah, as you say, you just watch in amazement at times at what he could do with the rugby ball, as you say. And his record pretty good as well. You say 40 odd tries in those games, and I mean, I don't have the try assist stats to hand, but I mean, they were through the roof year on year and year, weren't they, as well? I mean, he was knocking up
Absolutely.
30, 40 try assists a year as well, which
Yeah.
is
I
remarkable.
I remember a game, gosh, we played Bradford Down Lane,
Yeah.
and we were, I think, 18 points behind with about 10 minutes to go. And I said to my mate, I says, well, we must have been 16 points behind. I says, 3 converted tries and we win this. And we've not looked like scoring that many, or three tries in 70 minutes. And then Rangi took game by scruff at neck and we scored 18 points in one game. Just he could just do things, as I say, that most players could only dream of.
100%. I think he's definitely in that category, which there's plenty of players across sports that are like this, but he's very much in that flawed genius category, isn't he? I think Rangi Chase is the epitome of that, certainly the epitome of that we've had as the Castleford Tigers. I mean, he'd probably be my pick in terms of who I've seen because he had to be. I mean, he's the only one I've really seen live of those six, but I do have a feeling as great as Rangi was, he might not quite make this side. Can you tell me who is the standoff in this all-time team of the century for Castleford Rugby League Football Club?
I think based on previous episode conversations and his playing record, I don't think anybody will be shocked to know that I have gone for Alan Hardesty.
Yeah, yeah, I did think that might be the case. You laid out the terms earlier why that is the case, and it is. Yeah, it's pretty hard to deny, isn't it? It's pretty tough to deny. One of the
Yeah,
greats of this club, one of the greats of Great Britain, one of the greats of rugby league, full stop, isn't he, Alan Hardesty?
yeah. A couple of things that I've, again, doing bits of research that found. Wembley recently has been a topic of conversation because of the crowd. When we played Salford and beat them, Alan was a try scorer that day and obviously captained the side. The crowd was 97,939. The following year, when we beat Wigan, it was 95,255.
I know the old adage is like, whoever's last out, turn the lights off, etc. But genuinely, there can't have been anyone left. There can't have been. It
Yeah,
blows my mind. It blows my
I
mind.
know. I know, it's one of my earliest recollections of rugby league recollections is the cup. I'm going back with the cup.
Mm.
Um, if it was 1970, I was be 2.5, and I've just got this vague recollection of being on my dad's shoulders on what was on the oh, it would have been Boys Modern, but Cass High School field opposite the Magnet, and
Yeah,
they came onto the school roof with the cup, and there was like obviously hundreds and hundreds of people on that field. But yeah, that's like one of my earliest memories. Um, it was that good that he had a bus named after him. Arriva named buses, didn't they, after rugby league
it
players from
did.
West
Yeah,
Yorkshire? And we actually had three. So we had Alan, Malcolm Reilly, and Adrian Voles. So that tells you something about him that he had a bus named after him. There's not many players.
that's quite the accolade. Never mind the Challenge Cups and the Ashes win. He's got a bus named after him. What more can you ask for?
Yeah. There's a story that Alan used to tell about his early days as a coming through as a standoff at Cass. and he's playing St Helens down lane. And right early on, Alex Murphy, a scrum, Alex Murphy picked the ball up, walked a long way around, and went, "So are you this young Hardesty kid that they're all talking about?" And
Hmm.
Alan went, "Yeah, that's me." And Murphy's response was, "Just so that's good to know, because me and Vinty's going to look after you today." And Alan's response was, "Who the is Vinty?" And a certain Vince Corelius lifted his head from back at scrum and went, "I'm fucking Vinty." And so, for anybody that hasn't got a clue who Vince Corelius is, just Google him. You will see
Hmm.
from one photograph why he was feared. Alan said I didn't have my best game that day for some reason. And if you see a picture of Corelius, you'll understand why.
Absolutely, there's no shame in that. Even the best get the fear of God put in him every so often, I think. So,
But
fantastic,
he
fantastic
didn't,
stuff.
he didn't, he didn't become, obviously he went on to be one of the greatest club players that the club's ever produced.
100%. And like I say, I think we're genuinely there's a couple of players that are going to be in this team of the century where it's not even just the greatest players that Castleford have had, is it? We're talking about the greatest players in British Rugby League generally.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, he's right up there in some of the very, very best to have ever played. So there we go. The standoff is locked in, the team of the century, and it's none other than, of course, Alan Hardesty.